Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a bit of a different video from the norm. If there's any racing game in recent memory that I feel has probably had the best post-launch support, I'd say it's this one, the Crew 2. So if you don't know what the Crew series is, or the Crew 2 especially, essentially they're two big open world racing games where you have the entirety of a scaled down America as your playground. It features many different categories of vehicle, from bikes, planes, rally cars, street cars, hypercars, boats. Everything basically that you can think of is in this series, and it's absolutely massive. Now the Crew 2 is, in my opinion, a much better game than the Crew 1. Whilst I absolutely loved the Crew 1 and I played a ton of it back in the day, I just feel like the Crew 2's just had that bit better post-launch support. You know, we're coming on 5 years, and although there was kind of a bit of a gap after the whole season pass thing, the kind of Motorflix add-ons and seasons that they've been doing for the last couple of years have just really taken the support for this game to the next level. There's always something new and different to do, and it's probably the racing game that I really go back to more than any other. So, with a new season on the way and a little news article sparking my interest in this series, I went back and I thought, do you know what, maybe it's now time to talk about a different racing game and some different racing news from the norm on the channel. And it's in regards to the Crew 3, or should I say Motorfest. So it appears that after 5 years of post-launch support for the Crew 2, this may be shortly coming to an end. In replacement, it will be Motorfest. So what started out as essentially the Crew 2 DLC will be kind of taking the reins and become kind of essentially the Crew 3, if that kind of makes sense. It just seems like a bit of a rebranding, and it'll be, you know, kind of the Crew in the main sense. So the rumours were that a few years back this started out as DLC for the Crew 2, and then since then it's kind of taken a new shape and form and basically became its own thing, and it'll kind of take the reins from the Crew 2 once the support for that ends and this new game is released. So it appears that Ivory Tower and Ubisoft are finally planning to phase out the Crew 2 and basically bring in a new kind of, I guess, Crew 3 or Motorfest. Now the rumours are that this will be next gen only, so with the support of kind of the older consoles, so the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and such, you know, being faded out at this point. I believe it's nearly, what, 3 years this year that we would have had these consoles. There's no real need for them to keep making it for them. They're a lot more available in terms of these, you know, next gen, or should I say current gen consoles, so I could honestly see that being quite true. Now, obviously, in the terms of the Crew 2 and the Crew 1, we do have a scaled down America, so it is kind of lacking a lot of places, and this new game is rumoured to take place in Hawaii, which is obviously a lot smaller. However, one way I could kind of see this working is if they kind of just scale it up a bit bigger and a lot more detailed, so we could still get the size of the likes of the, you know, the Crew and the Crew 2, but kind of on a more detailed level. So if that kind of makes sense, the scaling would just be done different. Obviously, with the leap in kind of technology and the current gen consoles, I could see this being a much more detailed map than we already have. I mean, that's not to say the Crew and the Crew 2 don't have amazing maps. Of course they do. They're absolutely, you know, iconic, I'd say, in terms of racing, but I feel like we could have it much more dense and much more kind of detailed, even though we're kind of in what would essentially be a smaller area. So it looks like we will be getting a new location, that being Hawaii. It's also reported that it'll be running on a brand new game engine, which for me, I think would personally be a good thing. I feel like at times, as good as the Crew 2 can be, I feel like it just sometimes feels very kind of dated and just not as fluid as it really could be. I don't know if that's just because of, you know, how old the game is now at this point, being 5 years, you know, behind anything else in terms of its game engine, but I do feel like a new game engine will be a massive plus. Another big thing that kind of gets asked a lot, and this kind of article does bring it up, is, well, release date. So there's a kind of a big window according to this article. It essentially could come from April 2023 all the way to March 2024. So that's pretty much a full year window where it could be released. And obviously with no official announcement yet, I could see this being kind of released towards the end of this year, maybe early into next year. I think anything before that would just be far too generous, far too wishful thinking. It wouldn't really make sense for them to just kind of, quickly announce the game and then all of a sudden a few weeks later it's out, I could quite easily see it building up hype. I remember kind of all the trailers for kind of The Crew and The Crew 2 and all the betas and stuff. I believe they'll probably follow, you know, that kind of model and build the hype up for a good few months, get people testing it and such, and then it'll be kind of full release. So I'd probably say, you know, it'll be kind of later on in 2023 to early 2024 when this game kind of, you know, gets launched. So with this article coming to light only a few days ago, it appears that these rumours that we've had on and off for, you know, absolutely years may be becoming more reality at this point than they are kind of, you know, wishful thinking. So let me know what you guys think. Are you excited for another Crew game or a game in that kind of series? What do you think about the name change? For me, I think it's a good thing. I think it'll be a bit confusing in terms of maybe people that, you know, jumped into the series in the early kind of life of the games and then just kind of went away. They probably wouldn't really know what's going on, if that makes sense. But then I feel like for myself, the Crew name really came from the first game with the whole single player aspect, with kind of the Crew 2 being more of a festival type game, if that really makes sense. You know, so for the game to be rebranded as Motorfest, for me that kind of hints that they kind of you know, keep it in line with kind of how the Crew 2 works and the whole kind of festival side of it. Also, let me know what you think of it being released or rumoured to be released on only current gen and PC only. You know, will you be sad to see the back of the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One versions of games? For me personally, you know, it's been a few years at this point and I feel like those consoles do hold multi-platform games back. Unless you kind of get two separate teams working on two different ports, I couldn't really see it working in terms of getting the full detail in the game. I'd rather have the full focus on a proper current gen release and, you know, for it to be as polished and amazing as it really could be. I mean, this has the potential to be one of the best open world racing games ever made. So that's going to be it for me. I will see you all in the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for all your racing game news, and I will see you all in the next one. Don't forget to check out the description for my Discord, my Twitter, as well as my sponsors, the Controller People and Poggers, who make the best energy drinks and sleep formulas possible. They're always keeping me on my feet, and I will catch you all in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.